man, another extreme TikTok morning. Like, oh my gosh, there was so many comments. Like, it's wild because there's so many people who keep following me and talking to me about this stuff. But then you have the people who are like, no, she's lying. Her hair is not better. I've looked through all your videos. Your hair is the exact same. I was like, what? And why would I even be talking about this? I'm like, I tell people, go on my YouTube then. Like, you guys tell me, am I crazy? Like, is my hair been changing? I know, like, to the light, it picks up. And this still looks like it's really white, but it is so much more like yellowish color or beigey kind of color. It's like this color only faded out. And so it's going to keep filling in. And that's going to be the cool part, is when this is like totally gone. Because this is, it's like people's eyes just go right to that. Like they can't see, like, this whole thing, all this used to be white. All this used to be white. And this right here, when I would pull this up, all this was turning white. So all this was white, white, white. All this was white. I had all white right here. And then this was all white. And then it went white back there. And then when I would pull my hair back, this is what's also trippy, is when I would pull my hair back, now it is dark on the sides. This used to be bright white. And the bright white was like this tall when I would pull my hair back. It was like I had a strip, like a mohawk of color in my hair. And the rest was just white. And then you couldn't, like back here, it wasn't white, but all the white just crossed it. It was a lot more white, I think. I don't think I'm crazy. It's weird how these people can keep trying to challenge you and make you start like, am I crazy? I swear to God. And my hair is changing. And I mean, there's no denying my pubes. Like, and to me, it reminds me of, like, remember when you were a little kid? And I don't know, I think it's like around 6th grade. And other kids are growing them. They're getting hair under their arms, getting pubes. And you feel like, oh my God, am I ever going to? And then you finally get one. And it's like, oh my God, maybe you get like 2 or 3 at a time or something. And you're like, oh my God, I've got hair down there. There's hair. And you feel like, I'm a grown up now. I'm just so grown up. I've got hair down there. And which trips me out, because it's so weird how so many girls went and stripped all that hair away. It's like, oh, why do you want to go back to that little kid look? Oh, I don't like that little kid look. And so that was that's a whole generation that did that. Wow, I don't know. I think if you wax, maybe the hairs will grow back. But there's laser. Oh my God, here it goes. What the fuck, man? It's driving me crazy. And then nobody seems to be talking about it. And it was in that movie. And it's like, okay, it's because not everybody can hear it. It's fucked, man. It's so fucking loud. And it's so, it's like when you hear fingernails on a chalkboard. It's like this high-pitched fucking, it's fucking assault, man. Fuck. So sick of this shit. Motherfuck. Cool. I'm so sick of it. So what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, and another thing too now, like when I color my eyebrows, and I have to be more like, okay, wait, am I rubbing my eyebrows? Because I'm always touching my face. So then it's like if I'm rubbing my eyebrows, my smears everywhere, and I wouldn't even know. I'd just be sitting here talking all serious, like with smudges. But anyways, the hair thing, I think is real. If I was finished talking about that, I don't know. Because the fucking sound came in and blasted me. Seems like I was talking about something else. Fuck. I don't know. It still is harassment too. Last night I did this whole thing of like, I keep pushing them out, like using my soul energy, like pushing from inside, like pushing out, using my mind and pushing out and pushing them out further, and then putting us into like a safety kind of thing. And then they fuck with you. Even when you're doing that, they fucking say shit. And, but it's still, it's like, I don't know. The energy is intense. I don't know. You'd have to sit up all night or something to block them out or something. They just fucking, I don't know. It's like I said before, like the whole thing where we go around saging like we're doing something. It's like, I don't know who came up with that. Like, fuck. This is, you know, just like, you know, I don't, yesterday, yeah, so it was yesterday after I finished. So I finished recording, and then I sat down on the couch, and Stella was still, like, she would go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep, wake up. And then, because that's what keeps happening. It's weird. And she can be totally snoozing, totally snoring, and then all of a sudden she's just up. It's like, fuck, I know something's fucking with us. And so I'm sitting there, and I don't remember what I was doing. Maybe I was looking at TikToks or something. So I had the lights off, and I'm just looking at my phone. And I think it was like 3:30 and stuff. And it was, I think I ended up going back to sleep, though. Maybe around 5 to 7 or 8 or something like that. So it seems like lately it's like go to sleep for a few hours, get up for a while, then go to sleep for a few hours and get up. And but last night I slept until it was like 2, I think, is when I got up. And I had to go take a shower and stuff. It was like I'd been asleep a week. It's like, what the fuck is going on? My hair's all crazy. I smell like I've been out in the fucking, like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? And so I was sitting there, and so it was like 3:30 or whatever. And, you know, this heater thing makes some strange noises, but I've got plenty of videos where you hear it. It's not like just making weird noises all the time, right? I mean, it doesn't sound like something's talking, right? And I have had this so much too. And people keep saying this. Even the other night, and this happens a lot. Like if I go in my bedroom and I try and start sleeping, I'll start hearing things. I'll hear things out here, and then I'll come out and there won't be anything. And there's definitely like, because there's people who are saying stuff like something's calling my name and stuff. Yeah, that shit is going on. 100%. I say just ignore it, but anyways, so she, so I was sitting right here, and so it was like right across from me. So it would be like, because the wall's just right there. This house is small, and so the wall's just right there. So it's like the couch is almost like your feet are to the wall. And so then I hear this, like, I don't know. It sounded otherworldly for sure. It sounded creepy, like this, like that. And I was like, what the fuck? That is weird. And so I was like, okay, so is the heater, like, is it doing making some weird noises? So I was like really focused on it. And then I started hearing noises outside. Well, outside, this weird heater thing on the wall, it has this other compartment that's down here on the other side. So it's like the one thing's on the front of the house and the other thing's on the side. And on the side of the house, it's like they in between these two houses. And so it's not like a huge space or whatever. And it's not a space like where mine, I have a fence. And so it's not like a wide space. And it wouldn't be, I mean, animals, yeah, would be walking around through there, but I wouldn't think a person. And so then I started hearing all this like hitting up on, it was like a lot of noise. And it was so otherworldly and so creepy. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God, this is so fucking creepy. And I was sitting here all by myself. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a fucking TikTok. Because I got to feel like I'm connected to something. Like, I feel like this is a part of, you know, my whole thing with doing, going public on social media and stuff. It gives me, you know, it gives me something to hold on to. Like, if something's bothering me, I can go and I can talk about it. And then people talk about it. And then it gives other people things to talk about what they're going through and stuff. So anyways, and the stuff is intense, man. And it's creepy. And so it was this noises. And so I did this video. And I had said something about it. And then somebody was like, well, I think you have to invite them in. And I was like, yeah, but like, what about all these ones that are here? I didn't invite them in. As I said, you know, a multi-dimensional being could just go right through the wall. Like, when they're outside, hitting onto your thing, like, it depends, I guess, because, like a multi-dimensional being, okay, because it's like different levels, because it depends on their vibration, because there's ones that can be like some of these ones, like Dog Man maybe, or I don't know, there's a lot of creatures. There's a lot of motherfucking creatures. And so if those creatures are more on a low vibration, and so they can move through portals and go through other places that meet their vibration, but they can't, they can't go up in higher vibration, but that they would still be bound, kind of, because like a skinwalker, it can come up and scratch on your house or something, but it's going to, some of those things are going to taunt you to come out. Some of them are smart enough that they could go outside and start a fire or something and draw you out. Like, they know how to set traps. And so they're intelligent, but they're predatory. And so they would be more to try and draw you out. And, with like crying, where you hear crying and you think, oh, something's hurt. And you go to try and help. But really it's a trap, like a fucking coyotes to dogs or something. And so they stay in their form. Like, they don't change. Like a skinwalker, those things can like change forms, but it's like they've only got like, it's like a morphing. Like, they have a parameter that they can morph through. It's not like they can just all of a sudden, change into a fairy princess or something. They have their own thing that they can morph through, so that they can change what they look like. Like, they could be running on all fours and look like an animal, or they could stand up and look like something else. It would still look creaturey. It wouldn't all of a sudden look human. Maybe from a distance you would think, oh, there's a person over there walking, but you would start noticing their the way they moved would be weird. Their proportions would be off. There'd be things that you would be like, oh, something's off on that. That would be somebody who's kind of morphing. And so those ones, they couldn't just walk through the wall. They would, but they wouldn't necessarily want to come into your house. They're more like, like a grizzly bear would rather you come out there in their place so they could eat you, rather than, come into your house and go through that. So I think that they're more of like pull you outside. But that's where you gotta be, weary, especially nowadays, right now, while all this stuff is transitioning. Like, fuck. I mean, there's people who don't know shit. They're probably just out walking, like that girl that just got killed over by that college. And it's this whole weird thing. And I don't even know the person is still talking about. I don't remember if they said, like, it's just happened, and this girl went out for a jog right at the college campus, was found dead. If something's going on, they're not telling us. And so not knowing if it's... because it could also be an instigator. Those people are over here, and I'm sure they're put in places. Yesterday I was thinking, those people, I was watching an old movie. There's so much, god damn, there's so much propaganda in old movies. But everybody had these little, in their purses and everything. And they pushed so hard on that in the movies. Like now how they push, how it's so bad. But before they were pushing like everybody needs one. And I was thinking, I bet you, or kind of like how I see it, is that they pushed for that, got all these people to get those in their homes. Then it's almost like they had to, so they had them registered. They knew where they were. And they knew what addresses. So then they just go to their data sheet, you know, this robber, this robber, this robber, and hand them the list of all the people who have, only they wouldn't just do it themselves. There'd always be a middleman, this shady character in between, and give them a list of the houses to knock off. You know, it could be one of those people that, what are those people called? Not bookie. They are more a pawn shop. They, what are they called? I think it starts with an S. But so they kind of be like, well, you know, we're really looking for a bunch of GUNs and stuff. So then they find out which places, because the government has it right there and can tell you which houses have them. And so they know directly where to go. And then they get them, and then they take them in to be pumped. But it's just like their same corrupt laundry system. It's just a way to get, it's like a way to make sure to get those things into the hands of the bad guys, to get them into. So there's a lot in circulation. There's a lot in circulation, and then plus there's pressure on the people. It was theirs. They didn't put it up good enough. And so it's like an underhanded way to arm a certain group. And I think that they did that. I think that's what they did. And then once they were fully armed, then they start telling us, oh, no, you guys don't need those. You guys got to get rid of those. We're going to put this restriction, that restriction. We're in charge of how many of the things you put inside, how many you can buy. We're in charge of this. We're in charge of that. Everything is about them being in charge of shit when they're not in charge of, or we got to stop letting them be in charge of anything. It's all just them. It's just like, I don't know. It's so weird. It's like the babysitter coming over to babysit you, and all of a sudden the babysitter tells you they're in charge of you. You know, they're telling you what your life, what you can do, and stuff like that. It's just like these people are like soul babysitters or something, and then they take over and tell us, but it's all stuff to benefit them, which is all like super bad karma. That's a universal law for sure. You can't use, like, you can't use, but that is where they think, because they disclose, they tell the stuff in movies, and then we watch it, but people didn't catch on. But when you go back and watch it now, boy, now you see things that's just like, what the fuck? And it just goes together. It just is more confirmation of the manipulation and everything that they've worked on us. And I just saw a video too. I think it's Palo Verde or something, somewhere in California, in Southern California, and they're asking for Newsom for emergency. And I guess 30 or 40 states are under a state of emergency for something that hasn't happened yet. So we must be getting closer and closer to whatever they're going to bring down on us. And which it seems like they're really heading into this EMP. Maybe they think if they cut us off from the internet or something, we won't find out stuff, that they can prolong it. But it's going to flip over to the other system, and then we'll be going quantum. And so it won't go in the way that they go. And it's so weird, because this is all just a play out to take them down anyway. So however it's going to go, whatever's going to go is going to go. And if it's going to be this EMP thing. But so in California, and all these earthquakes and these storms and stuff, and I saw a video one of the days of I think it was on the Malibu highway or something, landslide, mudslide thing. The whole side of the mountain just came down and covered the street. I don't know how long it takes them to move all that. And then you got to stabilize it, because it'll just keep sliding. Like, all the things that they did to build and, was not in harmony. They've not been in harmony. So all of their structures and their cities and everything are going to fall apart. And so this Palo Verde or whatever is showing signs of the instability of the tectonic plates. and it's cracking. Like they've got huge cracks. There's parts that are, it's totally unstable. It's destabilized. It's moving. It's like it's wild. And I guess it was on the news. That's why I saw a news clip about it, and them asking Newsom to do something about it. And to me, being in California, well, it would be to the people who have that everybody's got to listen to their own selves, what their soul is telling them. If your soul's telling you, just don't worry about it, it's fine, then, that's what you got to listen to. If your soul is saying like, ooh, the ground's moving, like that doesn't seem good, then, yeah, you got to start thinking in a direction outside of there. But everybody's going to be pushed to go. I just think it's going to become more and more chaotic, more and more dangerous, more and more chaotic. It's definitely not going to go back to peace and love. And, I'm Californian and I surf all the time. It's not going back to that. It's not going back to, there's a lot of things from our lives that are gone. They're dead and buried. It's gone. And the people who continue doing it are just trying to hold on to something, and because everything is shifting. And California is going to be gone. That has been something that we've been told for fucking so long, and I don't know why people are like, well, it hadn't happened yet. Just because it hadn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. California is going. And all you got to do is think logically. You just think about like what is going on this planet, this earth realm, this existence where we are. What's going on? It's all changing. In the cycles of earth, it changes the landscape. The landscape changes over and over. That is something that has been shown to us. The maps change. The weather patterns change. Like we're going to go back to tropical, like where it shows in really old maps, like in the 1500s supposedly, which we have no real concept of time, because our reset would really just be our beginning, and they're trying to link us to the past, but there is no links other than the fact that it exists. We aren't a part of it. We're an extension. We're a creation that is, it's like take part of this and start again. So there's a part, but it's like a lot of the part is them just trying to continue their same game over and over and over. But so waking up and realizing and stuff about time. But so looking at the old maps and stuff, to me, it shows like things were different, but it shows like it's cycles. It's nothing that, it's just cycles. Just like the trees have a cycle. The earth cycle is a lot more spread out. Just like how I said, like it's weird how they've convinced us to age ourselves, which aging isn't real, age ourselves on earth cycles. To think like, well, I've been here 63 earth cycles, so I'm 63 years old. No, you're not. It has nothing to do with you. You've observed 63 earth cycles. It has nothing to do with you. Your time period is completely separate. And the earth cycles, the earth aging, like we're doing it based on this zodiac thing. We're basing it on this more of a growing season, like, of the earth. But the earth cycles are a lot bigger. Like it will live this certain way a certain amount of time, and then it switches. And it's apparently, I don't know, I've heard different things. It's a long period of time. 12,000 years, 25,000 years. It's a long period of time for the earth cycles when everything changes. And so when you look back on these old things and it's the 1500s, it's like, well, that would only be a couple hundred years ago. So maybe the 1500s was a completely different age and time when the Antarctica was tropical, because it's taken a while to freeze, right? Well, they say that there's this big event that happened. Everything froze real quick. And this event that we're going through is going to be, it's like the opposite. It's not like we're going to freeze real quick. It's like everything is going to be melting as the water rising. So all that ice at the Antarctica, which is already have some pieces that have been breaking off, and you have people who are all concerned about that. But that is going to be, like I said, I see the ice wall going away. The ice wall and the firmament, that's what we're breaking free from, is this control. That's why we get to start moving, and that's why this is such a big evolution. This isn't just about here. This is about the whole galaxy. This is about us stepping up, stepping into our soul, the soul version, because like the entities and stuff like that, see, they're in a different state. So like the creatures that come, even though they're multidimensional, they still have, like a restriction on them based on your vibration. Everything's your vibration. It's not like a punishment, but you can see why souls are always yearning to raise their vibration. But right now, it's just like we're at this weird time where people don't even understand what the fuck's going on. But the going and becoming your soul version. But there's other entities. It's like they don't have to be invited in. Like they're just in another realm. They're in like a different space and time. Even if they are in your area, they're in a different realm. And so, I don't know. I guess this stuff is a lot more complex or something. It's a lot more, well, it's what our real lives are. So of course it's going to be a lot more complex. And just think about how complex this shit is. Like, it's so hard to get people to understand, man. And the girl's in another crisis. It's fucking full-blown fucking big fucking thing going on. And it's like, oh my God. And, and she's wanting to come back here. I'm like, that is going backwards. You've got to go forwards. No matter how scary, people gotta see. When things go down, those are your challenges. When the challenges come, it's because you're ready to meet them. You hold yourself back. You hold yourself in fear. You hold yourself back in frustration and, why does the world do this? Why does God hate me? Why is it so hard? Because where does growing come from? Something that's easy. Like, the challenges are here for you. And you don't run from the challenges. You don't go the other direction. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep going in the direction you want. As soon as a challenge comes up, you don't go, okay, now I'm going the other way. Fuck it. No. Your soul the challenges are there so you can overcome them. Because that is where you become a champion. You got to overcome the fucking obstacles. You can't just hightail it back to where you were. And then what? Then what? Where do you go from there? You got to move in the direction you want to go. You got to, and people have so much reaction, the reaction part of them. It makes you not think logically. You're thinking on emotions. You got to think through logic on, like, when you're thinking about, like, this is hard to explain because, I'm somebody who always goes by your gut, and that isn't by logic. But there is also an aspect of when you are going through something and you are emotionally charged, your emotions will make you not think straight. And so you won't be able to see things clearly. and you will feel very like it's reacting. And so you can't see things clearly, and you're so focused on what you think it is. But just think of how many times, like this is something I noticed when I was younger, when I was married to my one husband I raised the kids with. And it would be the, let me think what it was. How in the hell did it just go blank as soon as I start to try to give a thing? I have no idea what I was about to say. Maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe it's me blocking it. I don't know. We'll see. But so, oh yeah, okay. So back, what I would see was like I would get so fucking mad about something. Like I would lose my fucking mind, and I would be just, I would just be so mad, so distraught or whatever, and just like I want a divorce. I want the fuck out of here, and then it goes like a couple days, and you can't just rush out. You can't just like, nobody's prepared to just start over immediately when something goes down. So then you're kind of stuck. Well, this is what, is a part of the trapping, what keeps people in certain types of relationships where people are like, why do they stay? Why do they stay? It's like, because it's fucking, there's a lot of challenges. And so, what I noticed was that I would be so mad, but then after a few days, it was like I was trying to hold on to the mad, trying to remind myself. It was like it would just go away. So I started being like, okay, what is going on? And I started realizing, like, when you are emotionally charged, you can't think straight. And how you feel about something in your emotional charge period is way different than once you step away from it. Once you've had a few days and those emotions have calmed down, then all of a sudden you start looking at it very differently. And so that is the thing that I'm talking about, where I say to try and be more logical. It is, I don't know what other word to use, but it is like to combat your emotions with logic, to remind yourself, like, of the positive things, because you get so caught in the negative things. You got to remind yourself, oh, wait a minute, I'm forgetting all about this because I'm really feeding into this anger and resentment and bitterness. And you got to remind yourself of there's some good stuff too. And you got to pull yourself towards that. So you've got to, it's like this total mind management. It's like you becoming emotionally mature. And so you got to see yourself, like how your emotions will make you feel a certain way, that once the emotions have receded, that you feel different. And so when you're having something that's going on and it's emotionally charged, then it is like you just have to take, I don't know, it's like time to reflection, time to go and sit with yourself and remind yourself and look through the situation, calm your nerves and calm how you're approaching it, and sit back and think like, okay, what do I really want? What is it I'm looking for? Why would I change what I'm looking for? I need to stay focused on what I'm looking for because somebody else is having something I can't, okay, that just fell out. And now I've just got to go forward. I'm still heading towards where I want to go. I'm not running the other way because now this happens. So now it's like, no, I'm running, going back. Those are challenges. Those are the things you've got to push through and stay focused on what it is you want. And this is another thing, like where it is you have to come up with this shit yourself, because if you just listen to me say it, then you can go by the words. You got to go in and feel this stuff, because you got to differentiate between when you're following your plan, when you're on your purpose, when you are going in the direction the universe has for you, or if you are just following, like what you want, what it is you hope happens, what it is you want to happen. And it's different because, it could be, okay, I'm just going to pick some random thing. It could be this person who inside them, they have all this inner knowing about food and growing food and agriculture and stuff like that. And they understand things that a lot of other people don't understand. And so it's just inside them, because in other lives that it was something that they did. And so that they have a deep understanding, and they're bringing that to the table in this situation as this transitions into this new development. So the people have these things that they're really good at, that they have grown in other lives, that has become like their speciality or something. Like they're bringing something to the table here. And this is needed because we're in this time of transition and change. And so it's inside them. But it's untapped, because say they went through abusive childhood, and that cut them off from their emotions. They don't want to feel their emotions because they're going to feel that pain again. So they cut themselves off. They cut themselves off from, when you cut yourself off from your emotions, you're cutting yourself off from your soul. And so and people, it's like cage it, hide from it, all sorts of things. Like there's all sorts of visuals. But so because of his pain and trauma, he has cut himself off from this creative side of himself, the emotional side, the side that feels. And because a lot of people, they don't like that. Like they could be watching a commercial, like the Folgers commercials used to really get you. Everybody be crying through this 30-second commercial. But a lot of people don't like to feel anything. So they cut off from all their emotions, because feeling anything is like scary. And so they cut themselves off. But then it's like, well, what are you doing here? And you start having friends, you start doing things that you have an interest in. And, somebody else becomes successful. Like, maybe they start developing video games or something. And you're like, fuck, I want to do that. And then they start doing real good, and they're making a lot of money, and you're thinking, well, that's what I'm going to do. It's working for them. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do what they're doing. And you start going in that direction, but it just fucking doesn't work. It's just frustrating. You're not making as much. You're not doing as well because you're following somebody else's dream. That's where you got to recognize what is inside of me. Like that person where it's going real good for them, in the video game thing, it's because that's inside them. They have a deep understanding, and they're on their path. When you are on your path, then things will start going good for you. It won't be a struggle. It won't be hard. Well, there'll be struggles. There'll be struggles and challenges and stuff. But it's different. It's like, I just feel like there's so many people who don't follow what's inside of them. They try and follow like this ideal of what they think is success, what they think is like what everybody else wants. And everybody's trying to get this same thing. Everybody's after this same lifestyle. It's like you're leaving out so many different lifestyles. And there's so many different ways to live. And everything has lessons. It's not like there's just one perfect way, one perfect life. You get that life, everything has no problems at all. It's like, no, every single one has problems. Every life has challenges. And another thing too, is you can't just focus so highly on your problems. You got to remember everybody else out there has problems. We can't all just drop our problems to remember your problems. Everybody's got to start realizing, like, that is where you gain empathy and compassion. Be like, oh, fuck, they got problems. I got my own problems. Yeah, it'd be nice if somebody come in and, hold my hand through my problems. But, there's a reason why that we are in an isolation, when we're in an isolation to combat our problems ourselves. Because it's the part of us that is growing that we need to grow. Your soul would be so mad if it wasted its whole life with every challenge to be fixed by somebody else. You're the fixer. It's you. You're who's challenging yourself. And yeah, it feels like, yeah, I want somebody else to be here. I want somebody else to fix it. I don't want to feel alone. But that's like the universe pushing you to remember you're not alone. Even when you think you're alone, like fucking God, a full house. Oh my, you're never alone. And I just saw somebody else. I hadn't seen her in a long time. She used to have blue hair. And she was doing a video. And I didn't even recognize her for a second because she doesn't have blue hair anymore. And she just has natural hair. And so, and I had told her a long while ago before about, you know, the psychic and hair thing. And it's your antenna and stuff. Like, I don't know. I've lost track of time. It could have been last year or something. But anyway, so now her hair is not blue anymore. So I said, you know, if she had noticed any difference. And she said she'd been struggling really hard because her dad just died. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I said, well, just remember, he's not gone. You just can't see him because he's at a different vibration, but he's right there. So, and she goes, well, he keeps coming to me in my dreams, and I feel like it's really real. But, you know, I don't know. I just feel like it is. And I said, it's real. They're not gone. Just because somebody leaves. And I got another perspective too yesterday when with that one, with the people leaving, is a lot of the people dying. It's just to get people to wake up. It's like, it's to get the whole thing moving. But it's just important to whoever you have that has passed on to remember they're not really gone. You just can't see them because you're at a different vibration. But they're still around you. They don't leave you. And they don't forget who they are. They don't forget who you were. They don't forget anything. You can't remember shit while you're here. When you get out of this avatar body thing, when you get out of your glove, you remember. You know who everybody is. You know everything. Well, I don't know. Because if you read some of those near-death experiences, there is people who do forget. Like, you can't come out. That's why I keep trying to remind people, when you come out of your body, just remember that's real. That you don't cease to exist. You keep going. Just because you don't have access to the body anymore, you keep going. The body, it just had a period of time in the game. It had a virtual time to come in and experience. And it only had that time because its role only was that role. Whatever role, it's just like in a movie. When somebody comes in, you know, and they just have that role. But somebody can have like just a few lines and it's still just as impactful. But everybody's role is just that period of time. And so when they come in and do that, see, that's why it has nothing to do with this aging and shit. This is all a fucking scam. Just like they told us that we're going out in space on fucking spaceships and shit. It's all a fucking scam. And so anyways, it's just all a cover story too. And it's all to just keep us disconnected. So you don't know who and what you are. Because if you understood, you know, your magnificence, you wouldn't be scared. But so the people who die out of the game, because it's once your part is finished. Once you've finished what you came here to do, then you leave. And the part has to do with just, you know, it's like all these roles, all these parts to play, but they all have a certain thing, and they all have these interactions. But once yours is done, it's not like you're making new ones. So no, that's it. Your part's done. You were finished, so you leave. You leave the game, and you go. And then, so there's a lot of people, though, who leave the game and come out of their body, and then they are lost. They're confused because they thought that they died. It's like, that was in the game. That's not real. That's just a game. And so you got to remember, when you come out of your body, and the signs that seems when people know they're out of their body is they try and talk to people. People can't hear them, because that's how real you will feel. You will not feel different. You won't feel like you look different. Nothing. And if you were hurt in an accident, you won't feel that. Your soul doesn't feel that. Your body can be laying there all battered and bruised and stuff. That's an illusion. That's a picture. You'll be standing there looking at it. That's when you'll be like, oh, I'm fucking hurt. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm out. You'll know when you're not coming back. Well, there's people who are taken to the other side and then they still come back. You'll know when you start interacting. They'll tell you. You're going back or whatever. And I think that stuff happens is to just help people along their way, to remind them. Just like when I came out of my body, it was like a real gentle reminder, like, oh, you're not that body. It was like, oh, it wasn't like I had to be told, or it was like I came out and it was like, oh, fuck, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not, I'm this. I'm this. Y'all see this, but I'm a whole lot of that. So it's, you are you, but it's like these lights come and create this illusion to the other people. But then when you leave your game, when your part's up and you leave, you it's like you recede out. You pull your light out. And then the thing is left lifeless. So it's just a picture. So it's left lifeless and it just falls. And it's always got to have a story. There's always got to be a storybook ending so that players can, it's a part of it. Like, you need to have the storybook ending. We couldn't just have it where like, oh, they're out of the game. No, it's like, we're in this game. We're in this movie. So it's got to play out like that. So it's got to be these little tragic things. So we're like, oh, because we're supposed to go through that. We're supposed to go through the healing, the trauma. What does it bring up? How does it make you feel? That's the part you're supposed to be working on. And so that all is real, that exists. But when you come out of your body, that is, I don't know. When I came out, then it was just like, I knew ever since that I wasn't my body. And so when you come out and you see that you are the same, and you'll see people, you'll recognize people, you'll see people who already died, and you'll recognize them. You'll see them. And how do you recognize them? Because they look the same, because you are you. You don't need your brain, you don't need your heart, you don't need your blood, you don't need any of that stuff. And all that stuff is a part of the drawing board, the illusion. It's like a cartoon with a background. It's like, none of that's real. It's only real in the game. But when you come out of it, then you are yourself. And so that is where you will be confused, because people are so comfortable in the concept of thinking that they are who they are in the body. And it's wild too, because I mean, yeah, when you've got these people who are spiritual and they keep dividing over, colors of skin and stuff like that, it's like, that stuff isn't real. None of that is real. Like, what? Yeah. When you come out of your body, you aren't skin, but you still look the same. You feel the same. People will recognize you the same. So, but when the people come out and then they become confused, because they thought, well, I was going to die. I was not going to be here anymore. No, that's all an illusion. Your life, your dead life, your life outside of this game is your real life. That's real. It's been going on for billions of years. This little fucking drop in the hat, couple years, like it's like a breath of the universe. It's nothing. You are so much more. Your life is so much more. You're so much bigger. Your life is so much bigger. So that is what people are having to come to terms with, to realize. And it's going to be on all different levels. Like there will be people who will leave the game and that's how they're going to learn. There'll be people who will learn it in the game. And that's because they're moving forward in the game in a certain way. And just because people leave the game doesn't mean they're not going to the age of Aquarius. That's another thing. Don't get caught up in thinking like, you know, my dad, my son, my brother, my aunt, anybody you're close to, and they die. And then you're like, oh my God, now I'm going to go to the age of Aquarius. I'm going to live forever and I'm never going to see them again. It's like, no, they're going to be able to come. We're going into a totally different kind of reality. Just like how there can be ghosts in the halls and stuff like that. We'll be able to be interacting. It's going to be different. We're changing our vibration, which still to me is very much like this reality is ending. But it is that the more that we connect with ourselves and know that we are a soul, the more that like, well, they can't kill us. Like, we'll just go with the game, just go into the next one. It seems kind of like that. Like, kind of, we all die in this old reality, but I don't know, because then they say that this splitting is going to keep going for a while. But that is when it comes down to it. When we're going into our light bodies and stuff, when we're going to be our light bodies, to us in this reality, we would think of us as being dead. And so I don't know. I mean, it seems like that we're going to all, it would be kind of like, the people who do it, like in the QHHT things, the people who ride this wave when the solar flash happens, it seems like to me that the people who stay here and go through the solar flash when it goes, that would be when it wouldn't be like we die. It's just going into this other realm, this other state of reality. And so, but it's us moving through it, but it is this letting go of flesh and blood, letting go of what you thought you were. And when you go through that, then you realize you're a soul, and you know your soul is energy and stuff. And when we're moving into that more, then I always see it as kind of like, well, I think if we were to compare the two, and we were at the old earth and we were talking about the future and the new earth, I think we would look at it as kind of like the whole thing died. Everything died and it just was rebirthed into something new. And that we go with it because we understand that we don't die. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's all these people, you know, where it's like, oh, your body's changing right now. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't see any crystal people walking around. Maybe it is. Maybe we're all changing. You know, maybe our light becomes brighter, and I don't know. I just know there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear. This is our soul stuff. This is like your body knows what to do. You're just like when a woman is going to give birth. Like her body knows what to do. It's like our souls know what to do. Like there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be scared of. This is like a rebirth of your soul. It's like this whole new opportunities, but it's you connecting to yourself. That's the thing that is so profound here, is because so many people have been so disconnected from themselves. They've been so caught up in the game, thinking the game is real life, that the game is all there is. And that's the big awakening, and the people have to, it's like, it's like so many things about, it's like being at your worst and you think everything's going to fall. This is the worst. It's the worst. And then everything going better all of a sudden. It's like, that is what is happening. It's like this, the universe wants to take you to the edge, wants to take you to the part where you just feel like all is lost. You don't know what to do, because it's this come to Jesus moments. It's this, existential crisis, and the universe is trying to get everybody, well, your soul is trying to ride this wave of energy and use it to expand itself, to grow and see and acknowledge itself and become more present and more, that's one thing. People are just not present. Like, what was that one I just thought of a second ago? I was like, fuck, people are always chasing something. I don't remember what it was, which makes them not be present at all. Like, you have to be present is, in the here and now, to just be like, well, what's to come today? People just stay so much trapped in their minds of thinking about what happened yesterday, thinking about what they're going to do tomorrow, thinking about what they would have said to that guy, thinking about, I wish I would have done it this way, playing out other scenarios, which if your soul's doing that, your soul is still, I told you, it's always trying to learn and think and stuff. So even if it's replaying situations and then like, man, if I would have done it this way, maybe this would have happened. If I would have done that, then this could have happened. But you got to remember that that's a fantasy too. That's just woulda, shoulda, coulda. You're always doing what you're supposed to do. No matter how, if you think it was the stupidest shit you ever done, that was what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to learn from your stupid shit. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes. You're supposed to acknowledge them, recognize them, figure out different things. But you can't get trapped there. You can't think like, well, if I would have done this, something different would have happened. Because that's easy to do. I mean, we all do it. Oh, well, if I just would have done this, if I just would have went that way. But there's none of that. You can sit there and do it and do it and do it all day long, but you're just wasting time and energy, because everything was always going to happen the exact way it was going to happen. And it happened the way it was supposed to happen, because that's the way that you wanted it to happen, because it has something to do with your challenges, your lessons, what you're here for. So it's all a part of the same thing. But it's like this changing perspective. It's like everybody just needs to open their minds more and see. And that will help them to, you got to connect with yourself. You got to connect inside. You got to connect to your story, to your plan. You know what's trippy too? It just came to me yesterday. And, I already knew it, but I don't know. It just hit me yesterday. And, my entanglement person, my person who, I don't know, at some point, I believe we're going to be a couple. And, but my person, what's trippy about it is that when this first started happening to me, I kept getting this image of this past life, and I kept seeing this scenario, this scene play out, and it was, I'll just tell it because some people who are interested in past life stuff and everything, and I think I've told it before, but so I was some sort of, I don't know, royalty or whatever, but because everybody back in the past who had money, there was always a separation. It wasn't like you had to be royalty, but if you had separation, if you had money or influence, then you were looked at as like royalty. People looked up to you. There was a very divide between the rich and the poor. And the poor was oftentimes not enslaved, but everybody worked for the rich people, and the rich people weren't getting them rich. Rich people were just hand scrapping. And so it would keep this division. And so, and this was kind of like, I don't know, I think it's kind of like Aladdin story or something. It even seems like it's kind of like in that time, because all these stories that we're told are all real stories. They aren't made up. These people don't fucking make up shit. These are all our stories. And so these are all stories that are real. And a lot of us have played the same story out. Remember what I said. The universe likes all these things played out from all different ways. It's like the slightest change. And we are all the slightest change. We are all that. So we're all, a lot of us are playing out. That's why I said it's like templates. It's like we come in to a template and we play it out. And then it's kind of like you get to see what you do with it. What did you do? How did you make it special? And so in this past life where I was like more a royalty or something, richer person. I've had a couple of lives where I've seen, I mean, there's always a downside, man. I'm telling you. And so and in this one, there was a fella, and we loved each other, but he was, you know, one of those boys that, you know, stood there wearing just a little, I don't know, probably, I don't know what rich people did with these people. Like, you have a line of men standing there, and they all just have like loincloths on, and they're just standing there. It's like they're your guards or something. I'm not even sure. Like, there's weird shit. So he was one of these boys that was, I don't know, a workman, a house slave. I don't know what the fuck. And, but we loved each other, but I wouldn't pick him. I picked duty because, and this is a huge thing that's played out in our lives in different scenarios, that there has been multiple times that we've chose duty over love. And remember I said we're going full circle. So we're going to go through other parts of these aspects that we've played out. And so when you choose duty over love, there's a whole thing to that. And so, and remember, we're moving into the age of love. So there's like these other scenarios of choices that we made in past lives are coming up. You know, we're healing things. We're going full circle on things. So in this scenario, I had chose duty. You know, I had to do what my dad said. I had to do what was expected of me. And so I had to go without love. And it was heartbreaking to him. And I don't even know if he was put to death or anything. I don't even know how it all went down for sure. It's just always the same scene that I would be shown. And, but you always like know more to the story. Like you'll see it and you'll just like know stuff about it. And, but then there's a lot of people just think, oh, my mind's just making weird shit up. It's like, you know, you've got communication happening. Probably you need to slow down and start communicating back with it. So, in the thing, there was this sadness. It was very sad when I started seeing this. And I even cried this one night. I was bawling my head off and I was apologizing to him, to the soul. Because that is one thing too, is like our souls, we've fucking done some shit to each other, man. We've hurt each other so many times in so many lives. And there's a reason why we have reactions to each other, the way we react. And, you know, our soul knows some shit. But that is where we got to put it into logic. Okay, that was a past life. That was a different game. Now I'm learning something different. But the thing that I was going to say that's trippy is that, you know, I've seen him and he is looking like that. Like he's going, like, it's weird. It was weird. Because he's, how he looked in that scenario, like how his hair was and stuff. And how he's looking like that again. Like, man, that's trippy. And so, I don't know. You know, I don't know how everything's going to play out. I know I'm not crazy. And so, But it is weird, when you base things on your soul's communication, when so many people don't even think it's real. But it's real. Your soul stuff is real. Your soul life, all of that is real. And the more you can connect to that, the more you're going to feel real. The more you're going to feel connected. This artificial world, yeah, you're going to always feel destabilized. You're always going to feel confused. You'll feel like God's out to get you. Nothing makes sense. People are just here to fuck you over. It's like, no, that is your perspective because you don't understand who and what you are, where you come from. That's the awakening. That's the pulling yourself into who and what you are and experiencing life from the perspective of understanding rather than from the perspective of not understanding. But there's a transition to go through because people were so trapped in their ego, they thought they understood and they were making choices for themselves and they didn't understand. So that's this whole awakening thing. It's this deeper understanding that there's a whole parts that you have to face yourself. You have to face your pain. You have to face your trauma. You have to face your biases. You have to face your bitterness, your resentment. And so many people, when things go bad, they choose to, what is that? It's like resent, but it's, they choose to get even. Like something happens and people are like, their focus becomes getting even, getting them back. And it's like, that is the wrong direction to go. No, you don't want to be putting your energy towards that. And so there's a lot of people who have done that. And that's going to be a hard one to get over. There's going to be a lot of things that people are going to have a hard time getting over because they're so disconnected from their soul. And when they're feeling like they're going to be judged, like it's judgment time. Jesus is coming. You're going to be judged. Guess what? It's you. And you can't get away from you. Like you could shut the door on Jesus. You can't shut the door on yourself. You're stuck with yourself. Every time you go look in the mirror, who are you looking at? Every time you're thinking, who are you talking to? You are stuck with yourself. You can't get away from that judgment. And that's the judgment that's going to hurt. That's where people are going to be so impacted because they're going to be facing themselves. And you got to see. And so many people think they're so perfect and so good and so great. Everybody else is the problem. But then all of a sudden it's going to be like, all you're going to be able to see is your problems. And everybody else is going to seem like they've got their shit together and you don't have your shit together. But it is all a transition. And the more that you get out of the drama and really start trying to break it down, understand like, oh, this is a fucking time of enlightenment. This is a time where I go deep. This is when I really start looking at myself, face myself. And if you want to be bitter and cold and hard on yourself, judgmental and mean, but that's stuff that you got to see for yourself. That's the shit that will trap you into these 3D lives going, because you have to keep going into see so you can move out of that energy. So you have to go in and keep going through them so that you can move out of that energy. You can't be all like hateful and judgmental. You won't even be able to go to Age of Aquarius being hateful and judgmental and vindictive and shit. That energy won't exist there. And everybody who carries that energy will, you won't be able to go forward. You won't be able to move into that Age of Aquarius of, it's going to be so much about love, and it's not going to be just like free love. Everybody just go have orgies with your neighbors because it's free love. No, it's going to be more of a self-respect, a respect for others, but a deeper connection of understanding what's important and what's not important. And I think people are going to, through this, is going to get a lot more, be able to laugh at themselves, not be so like embarrassed, and a lot more like, well, that's what I did back then, and be able to shed the old sides of yourself, the old parts of yourself, and still be able to see like, oh, that's when I was learning this and learning that. But you got to let go of that. You can't just hold on to all of your parts of like, where you're so mad and you wish you would have done it different and stuff. It's like, you got to just let it go and be like, well, That's the way I did it, and that's the way I was always going to do it, and that's the way it was done, and these are the lessons I learned, and this is where I'm at now, and I sure the fuck wouldn't do it the same way again. So it's your expansion. It's your evolving. So it all, works. But right now, it's kind of like we're talking about, but it's kind of like the same thing with the hair. Like it's going so slow now, and all people do is focus on this. But really, when I take it down to the amount of hair, and then this back here, see, you can still see a little bit where it's like got that little bit of a shine of where it's like a little bit of a different color, see? Because it's just the color starts filling in. But when, and it used to be all this, like you can even see where it still is like, but once this is gone, then there'll be people, well, I don't think she ever had gray. I don't think there was ever gray. I think she just colored her hair. There'll still be that. But it is the slower transition. And so that's what we're going through right now, is this slower transition. But there will be this part where it's going to, just like how right now I feel like we're picking up speed, we're picking up steam. Like you can feel it, like it's getting more and more intense, more and more intense. And it's going to be like, boom. And that boom is when we're going to be like, turn us the other direction. So it will be welcome boom, but it's going to be traumatic. So to me, it's going to be welcome. Like I can't fucking wait until this shit starts going in our favor. It's just, so many people are so dependent on what's there that it's going to feel like it's not going in their favor when that shit starts being ripped away from them. But that is your favor, is this shit is holding you back. It's making you dependent. And they're doing this thing called aging you until you fucking just die, is they're doing this to you. So now, we got to make changes. And I just know aging isn't real. It's something that they do. And when you start adding in all the minerals and taking care of yourself and doing all of the things that you did when you were 20, start living again, like taking care of yourself. Like I get to the gym, I got to take care of myself. I'm like giving yourself that value. There's just so many people that just start being like, well, I'm 30. Nobody's going to want me anymore. I'm 40. It comes from within. You've got to find your own value. And once you start valuing yourself again and seeing like, fuck, then you get back to taking care of yourself and you get back to feeling good. And there's challenges, because we're drowning in poison. So there's challenges to get over. But you start going in that direction and you'll find yourself back to being younger again. Because it's not real. I just know it's not real. So I don't even know what else to say about it. All I can really say is love yourself, love everybody, and have a loving day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.